Welcome to this radio channel, and it is Monday, April 16th, and that means that we'll have our weekly look at what's going to happen in the solar activity department and propagation for the week. Well, as the sun is rather quiet, we did have a very brief appearance of a sunspot this weekend. You can see it here on April 12th. It was visible on the solar surface, but it decayed quite rapidly, meaning, well, nothing much is happening right now. So basically, the sun is blank again and shows that these little short-lived sunspot kind of telling us that we are at solar minimum very soon. Of course, it did bump the solar flux a little bit. We're above 70 for the first time in a couple of weeks, and hopefully it's going to help propagation, even if it's a very small increment here. It might help a little bit of the propagation side. So what's going to be the propagation this week, and what's happening with the sun? Well, the sun is, of course, blank, no sunspots, which typically means not a lot happening right now. And this will be pretty much what's going to happen this week. There is a coronal hole that is actually sending us some gusts of solar wind by the kind of opening in the sun's atmosphere. It's just going to tell us one thing. It will be an off and on thing that's going to happen here. This is going to be basically something that means for many hours we'll have some really nice propagation, and then gusts of solar wind might actually do a little bit of, the kind of pushing our geomagnetic field a little bit and doing a little minor storming. But, in general, pretty much expect that the sun will be, and all of that will be rather quiet. If we look in the past few hours, past few days, K-index remained rather low. So, I expect that to continue pretty much, and hopefully that means even though the solar flux is low, meaning the higher frequencies might not propagate that much, one of the things that is for sure is that propagation might still be quite good. Through the weekend, I was listening to amateur radio operators and heard many stations, including a few stations on the 17-meter ham band, which is on 18 megahertz range from Europe. So, we have propagation up to about 20 megahertz easily in the daytime, even though the solar activity is low. One thing to look for is sporadic E-skip. There was some in the weekend. They were brief, but for maybe an hour or two, I had some propagation in the high frequencies like 10-meter band and the expanded, let's call it the out of band guys that use the 11-meter range and 27, 26 megahertz. And there was some propagation. So, that's something to look for. One of the things that a lot of people don't do because they look at numbers. And numbers don't mean everything. Numbers are just numbers. And you never know what can happen. And sporadic E-skip can actually appear at any time. Never hesitate to, at any day or night time, go into a higher frequency just by curiosity. Is there anything in the 26, 27, 28 megahertz region? You might sometimes be rather surprised at that. But if we talk about regular propagation, longer days in the northern hemisphere are going to really help us in the evening. And it does show. It does help us a lot. It's much better right now than it was in the deep, winter days of December and January. And of course, that will improve as we go into summer for the evening propagation. And basically, you should enjoy your regular shortwave broadcasts and tune around. You never know what's going to happen, but a rather quiet week expected in the next few days for propagation and into what will be next weekend, of course. So we'll see what's going to happen next, if there's any new details. And by the way, these reports, I do it on Monday, but if something new happens, a sunspot appears, anything unusual, I will, of course, have midweek or even later in the week reports if that happens. Of course, you can check out the solar activity all the time at solarham.net that you see here. Great website for all of that information. And hope you enjoy these little Monday propagation reports and outlook from this official SWL channel. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, let us know. Thank you for watching.